The story begins on the moon, where a stone is placed. This stone was put there by the first humans to ever reach the moon. On it, they wrote a message saying, "We are the first humans to come from Earth, and on behalf of all mankind, we declare that we desire peace." Just then, a huge shadow passed over the stone. It was a spaceship, which soon began heading straight toward Earth. Back on Earth, we see an institute called SETI. Their job was to monitor signals coming from space. Suddenly, they received a very powerful signal. A boy working there quickly called his senior officer. At first, they thought it might be a Russian spacecraft, but nothing appeared on their radar. Soon, they realized that the signal wasn't coming from anywhere else, it was coming from the moon. They immediately informed the military, explaining that this object was enormous, about 550 kilometers across and weighing almost as much as 1/4 of the moon. The military officer suggested it might be an asteroid passing close to Earth. But the junior officer replied, "If it were a meteor, it wouldn't keep stopping and starting. It would travel at a constant speed." This comment raised everyone's tension. Meanwhile, in the White House, the president was also worried. What exactly was this thing? Soon, they were informed that the object had suddenly stopped in space, and then split into 36 different pieces. Each piece was massive, and within the next 36 hours, these objects would be dangerously close to Earth. A short while later, reports started pouring in from all over the world. People were seeing clouds of fire in the sky. These fire clouds were nothing else but the pieces of the UFOs entering Earth's atmosphere. One of these UFOs headed toward Mexico, and when fighter planes were sent to investigate, they were burned to ashes before they could even reach it. This meant that humans still had no solution to fight these UFOs. Within minutes, one of the flying saucers stopped right above a major city. Its size was so huge that it completely covered the city below. And not just in Mexico, UFOs began hovering over cities all around the world. Because of the UFOs, TV signals started getting disrupted. That's when a man named David, a satellite engineer and technologist, was called in to the TV station. While checking the satellite signals, David discovered something shocking. Between the normal signals, there were several strange signals that kept disappearing repeatedly. When David stepped outside, he saw a gigantic UFO in the sky. One look, and he understood, the signals were coming from the aliens themselves. They were using the signals to set the positions of their UFOs all around the world. And in just 7 hours, those signals would completely disappear. David told the TV station owner, "This is just like a game of chess. First, you set up your army, and then you attack," he warned. 7 hours from now, these aliens will attack Earth and try to wipe everything out." David called his girlfriend, who worked as the communications director with the president, and told her everything. He warned her that in 7 hours the attack would begin. But she didn't believe him and hung up the phone. David decided that this message had to reach the president no matter what. So he set out for the White House with his father. After arriving, he called his girlfriend again, and she took him to meet the president. David already knew the president from before he was elected, but they had argued in the past and didn't like each other. Still, David explained to him that because the Earth is round, the aliens might be unable to directly communicate with each other. That's why they were using our satellites to send signals. He warned that soon, the aliens would launch a full-scale attack. The president listened but walked away without saying much. Meanwhile, 2 helicopters approached the UFO hovering above the White House to try and make contact with the aliens. But as soon as they got close, the UFO fired at them, destroying both helicopters instantly. Seeing this, the president and the generals finally understood that an attack was indeed coming. David had been right. Everyone began evacuating the White House, and panic spread throughout the city as people tried to flee. But time was up. The UFO's doors opened, and a glowing blue light shone from inside. Everyone stared at it. The very next second, the UFO launched its attack. The blast was so powerful that massive buildings were reduced to rubble in mere seconds. Within hours, entire cities were destroyed. The president realized his mistake. He said, "I should have evacuated the city earlier. millions of innocent people died for no fault of their own. In response, the Air Force planned a counterattack. Fighter jets were deployed to strike the UFOs. One of the pilots was Captain Stephen, who had always dreamed of becoming an astronaut. All the fighter jets took their positions and fired their missiles at the massive UFO hovering above. But all the missiles were neutralized before they could even touch the UFO, as it was protected by an invisible force field. The fighter jets kept firing missiles at the UFO again and again, but nothing worked. Then, in the very next moment, dozens of small drones emerged from inside the UFO. These drones swarmed toward the fighter planes and began attacking them, destroying almost every single jet in the air. However, Captain Stephen's plane was still intact. One of the drones started chasing him, forcing Stephen to fly deep into the mountains. Soon, the massive UFO itself was right in front of him. Before it could destroy his fighter, Stephen quickly deployed his plane's parachute system, which got tangled in the UFO and caused it to crash. Now the alien craft lay right in front of Stephen. As he approached cautiously, he found an injured alien inside. Without hesitation, Stephen punched the alien hard, knocking it unconscious. Meanwhile, back with the president, things were growing desperate. The aliens had decimated the Air Force, and military officials insisted that the only solution was to launch a nuclear strike against the UFOs. But the president refused, saying, "I will not risk my people's lives like that." David overheard this discussion and grew angry. He argued, "We can't use nuclear weapons on the aliens. Doing that will only destroy our own planet." The defense minister, furious, ordered David to leave. This outburst enraged David's father. He confronted the officials, shouting, "You knew all along! You knew something like this could happen, and still you did nothing! Back in 1947, a UFO crashed at Roswell. There were aliens inside it, aliens you've been hiding from the world in Area 51. You should have prepared for this war years ago." The president denied it, saying, "There is no Area 51. No alien has ever set foot on Earth." But then, to everyone's shock, the defense minister calmly said, "Actually, it's true." The president was stunned. He had never been told about this. It turned out Area 51 was under military control and kept secret even from him. After this revelation, everyone traveled to Area 51, where a massive underground laboratory was hidden beneath the desert. Inside, they still had the very same UFO that had crashed decades ago. A scientist explained to the president, "For years, we've been trying to repair it. We've learned quite a lot, but fully restoring it is beyond us. Yet, in the last 24 hours, ever since the new UFOs arrived, this old ship has started activating on its own." The scientists also revealed details about the aliens. They can sense their environment just like we do. They feel heat, cold, everything. That's why they want to conquer Earth. It's a planet they can survive on. The team then showed the president the remains of 3 aliens recovered from the 1947 crash. "These creatures can see and hear," the scientist explained. "But they don't speak. They likely communicate telepathically, mind to mind." The president turned to David and said, "You understood their signals before. Now you're going to help us decode their communication system." Meanwhile, Captain Stephen was transporting the captured alien, tied securely in a parachute, when he spotted a convoy of trucks. One of the men inside was Russell, a former pilot who had fought in the Vietnam War 10 years earlier. Russell claimed that aliens had once abducted him, though no one had ever believed his story. Stephen and the others eventually arrived at the hidden base. Having flown overhead earlier, Stephen already suspected it was Area 51. Security initially refused to let them in, but when Stephen revealed the captured alien, the guards were terrified and immediately granted them entry. The alien was taken into the laboratory for examination. As scientists began their tests, the alien suddenly regained consciousness. The moment it opened its eyes and looked at a scientist, the man clutched his head in pain. This was a telepathic attack. The alien was sending mental signals powerful enough to cause intense agony. Then, using this ability, the alien began killing everyone in the room one by one. The president entered the lab just as chaos broke out. Smoke filled the chamber. Suddenly, the dead scientist's body slammed against the glass wall, and the alien wrapped its tentacles around his neck. Using the scientist's body like a puppet, the alien began speaking through him, addressing the president directly. "Let me go." The president tried to reason with it, saying, "If we talk and negotiate, we can learn from each other. Perhaps we can even find a way to live together in peace." But the alien coldly refused. "No. We will kill every last human." As it spoke, the president's head began throbbing with the same unbearable pain. The alien had connected with him telepathically. Overwhelmed, the president nearly collapsed. There was no other choice. The guards opened fire and killed the alien, finally ending the deadly standoff. As soon as the alien died, the president regained consciousness. Because of being connected to the alien's mind, the president now understood why they had come to Earth. He told his people that these aliens exist in enormous numbers across the entire universe. They travel from planet to planet, conquering each one that stands in their way, and now it was Earth's turn. Apart from a nuclear strike, there was no option left. So, they launched a nuclear attack on the UFO immediately. But the invisible shield protected the UFO, and the nuclear bomb had absolutely no effect on it. Meanwhile, Captain Stephen took a helicopter into the city to meet his wife and child. The president's wife was also there, but her condition was critical. Stephen brought everyone back, but the First Lady was suffering from internal bleeding. The doctors couldn't save her, and she died on the spot. The president was devastated. David, on the other hand, was furious about the decision to launch a nuclear attack. He drank heavily, refusing to listen to anyone. His father tried to comfort him, saying, "Fix your clothes or you'll catch a cold and fall sick." Hearing the word cold, David suddenly got an idea. He went to the UFO that had crashed in 1947, which had now mysteriously reactivated. David placed a soda can inside the ship and asked an officer to fire at it. When the officer fired, the bullet bounced off because of the invisible shield. Then David tapped a few keys on the computer and told him to fire again. This time, the bullet went straight through the can. Everyone was shocked and excited. They asked David how he had done it. David replied, "I gave it a virus. I placed a device with the can that infected the UFO system, weakening its shield. We can plant such devices inside their ships and spread a virus through their entire network. Once the virus is inside, their invisible shields will stop working." But the biggest challenge was how to get the virus inside the alien mothership. David explained, "We'll use the UFO we have. We'll fly it into their mothership, upload the virus, and trigger a powerful blast to activate it. We'll have roughly 1 minute before their shield comes back online. In that single minute, we must destroy all of their ships." The next question was, who would fly the UFO? Captain Stevens stepped forward. "During the battle, I carefully studied their ship. I can fly it." The plan was shared with every country on Earth through Morse code. "We attack tonight. Their shields will fail for 1 minute. Be ready." A nuclear missile was loaded into the UFO that Stephen would pilot. He was told, "The missile won't detonate on impact. It has a 30-second timer. Fire it, and escape before it explodes." Because of the shortage of pilots, the government called on anyone who knew how to fly to volunteer. Russell, the man who had claimed to be abducted by aliens years ago and once served as a pilot in the Vietnam War, stepped forward. "I want revenge on those creatures," he said. He joined the mission. The president, a former pilot himself, also decided to fly a fighter jet. Stephen and David boarded the UFO and headed for the alien mothership. The ship automatically took control and docked among the fleet of smaller UFOs. David began uploading the virus. As soon as the upload was complete, he sent the signal back to Earth. On Earth, the humans immediately attacked the massive UFO, but at first, the shield showed no signs of weakening. Everyone grew tense. The president said, "Let's try again." This time, the missile hit directly, breaking through the shield. Cheers erupted as fighter jets launched wave after wave of missiles, striking the alien ship. Suddenly, countless smaller drones poured out of the mothership, launching a fierce counterattack on Earth. The Air Force responded with heavy fire, but the fight was brutal. The President had only one missile left, and at that very moment, the mothership's main door opened. He fired but missed. Russell still had a missile, but when he tried to launch it, it jammed. Determined to end it, he aimed his entire jet at the core of the UFO and crashed into it. A massive explosion followed, and the mothership plummeted to the ground. Inside the alien ship, David and Stephen were trapped. Despite their efforts, they couldn't escape. They decided to arm the nuclear missile even if it meant sacrificing their lives. They launched the missile, and as it struck the control panel, their ship was suddenly released from the docking station. Now they had only 30 seconds to get out as the doors began closing. By sheer luck and quick action, they managed to escape just in time. The nuclear blast detonated moments later, destroying the mothership completely. Around the world, wherever alien ships remained, humans attacked and annihilated them. This is how the Great War ended, with the defeat of the aliens and the victory of humanity. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.